What if the people sitting in a room, smelling like patchouli and holding a chunk of amethyst?
Right, the whole crystal setup.
Yeah, exactly. What if those people trying to manifest a sports car actually stumbled onto a real, legitimate neurobiological hack, but they're using it completely backward?
It's a fascinating question because on the surface, the whole concept looks like the absolute definition of magical thinking.
Oh, total.
It takes this verifiable psychological process and just turns it into a fairy tale, like the universe is a cosmic vending machine or something.
Which brings us to the mission for today's deep dive. Welcome, by the way. We are taking a topic that usually gets wrapped in all this mysticism and superstition manifestation and the law of attraction, and we're completely decoding its actual scientific mechanics.
We have some really solid material to work with today.
We do. We're pulling from Alen Brbutovic's source material, Manifest Now. And let me just set the record straight right up front for you listening. This is not a guide to, wishing for $1 million and having it magically appear under your pillow.
Definitely not.
No. This is a grounded, rigorous manual. It translates these quote-unquote spiritual ideas into cognitive science, neurobiology, and behavioral psychology.
And for anyone listening who considers themselves a hardcore skeptic, that skepticism is actually a highly valuable tool here.
Absolutely. Keep that skepticism handy.
Because the core thesis we're exploring today is that the universe isn't some sentient wish-granting factory. It is simply your external environment.
Right.
And that environment is just responding to the biological and psychological signals you are constantly broadcasting.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the sequence laid out in the source is just brilliant. It's not just think a positive thought and get a new thing.
No, it's a very specific chain reaction.
Right. It goes like this. Thought leads to emotion, which then dictates your physiological state, which is what people loosely call your quote-unquote vibration.
Yeah, exactly.
And then that state drives your behavior. And that behavior is what actually triggers an environmental response.
It's a continuous feedback loop. But where most people get tripped up is, right at the very beginning.
Yeah, the whole couch potato trap.
Exactly. Falling for the biggest myth in the self-help world. The idea that you can just think positive thoughts on your couch, bypass all physical effort, and just magically get results.
It's so frustrating to see that peddled as truth.
It really is. To really understand this, we have to look at the mechanics of what the so-called masters actually did behind the scenes.
Yes. The examples in the book completely dismantle that whole manifestation myth. Take Bob Proctor.
A classic example.
Right. The guy is famous for his wealth affirmations. But people conveniently ignore the fact that he didn't just affirm wealth. He built a company, he coached, he hustled for literal decades.
The affirmations were just the engine, not the vehicle itself.
Exactly. Or Michael Phelps. People love to say, oh, Phelps visualized his races. And he did, but he wasn't visualizing a relaxing, perfect swim on a sunny day.
No, his routine was intense.
He was deliberately visualizing his goggles filling up with water. He was mentally preparing his nervous system for absolute chaos. And, all while physically swimming like 80,000 meters a week.
And the underlying function of that mental rehearsal, well, that's where the science gets really interesting.
Also,
Phelps was using visualization not as a magic spell to control the water. He was using it as procedural rehearsal. He was basically programming his body for automatic success under immense stress.
Wow. And then there's Mike Tyson. The text talks about how he used hypnosis, but again, not for magic.
Right, it was highly strategic.
He used it to remove emotional noise, like fear and hesitation, so he could literally survive the brutal daily physical discipline imposed by his trainer.
With a Stiamato, yeah.
Right. So trying to manifest without the physical action, it's like sitting in a parked car, gripping the steering wheel, visualizing your destination with all your might, and then getting mad at the car because you haven't moved an inch.
That's a great analogy.
Thanks. But really, the tools, the visualization, the affirmations, they don't produce the outcome. They produce the version of you who produces the outcome.
That distinction right there changes everything. The tools engineer your identity.
Mm-hmm.
And if we connect this to clinical science, we actually see this mechanism all the time.
Oh, really? Like what?
The placebo effect.
Wait, isn't the placebo effect just a trick we play on gullible people?
That's how it's usually dismissed, yeah.
Mm.
But in reality, it is the biological mechanism of intentional expectation engineering.
Expectation engineering. I love that term.
It's very real. When a patient believes they are receiving a pain medication, their brain actually releases endogenous opioids.
Like natural painkillers.
Exactly. the body's natural painkillers. The physical chemistry of the brain literally changes simply because of an expected outcome. So expectation changes biology, biology changes behavior, and behavior changes reality.
And so manifestation is essentially just applying that placebo mechanism consciously and strategically to your own life.
That's exactly what it is.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Because if manifestation requires action, and this, quote, vibration people talk about, is actually just our biology, our physiological state, can't I just fake it?
What do you mean by fake it?
Like, if I'm having a terrible day, but I force a massive smile and aggressively suppress my bad mood, am I successfully raising my vibration?
No. That is a trap a lot of people fall into, and biologically speaking, it backfires completely.
Really? Why?
What you're describing is toxic positivity. If you are terrified or furious, but you just paste a smile on your face and suppress those feelings, your body is still pumping out stress hormones.
Like cortisol and adrenaline.
Right. Your autonomic nervous system is still in fight or flight mode. Your subconscious reads that elevated cortisol and says, uh-oh, we are under threat.
So the fake smile does nothing.
You cannot trick your nervous system with a fake smile. Authentic positivity, on the other hand, acknowledges the negative emotion, processes it, and then deliberately shifts focus.
So this whole vibration thing isn't a mystical aura at all. It is strictly defined as physiological coherence. It's actually measurable.
Highly measurable and observable. We're talking about heart rate variability, or HRV.
For those who don't track that on their smartwatches, what is it exactly?
HRV measures the variation in time between your heartbeats. A high HRV means your nervous system is resilient. It can quickly adapt to stress and just as quickly return to a state of calm.
Okay. And a low HRV?
A low HRV means you are stuck in chronic stress. Your body is basically flooring the gas pedal all the time. We are also talking about your hormonal profile.
Cortisol versus oxytocin, right?
Exactly. Having balanced cortisol and elevated oxytocin, which is the hormone that promotes connection and safety. And we're also talking about your EEG brainwave states.
Shifting from that anxious, high-alert beta state into a more relaxed, receptive alpha or theta state.
Spot on. When your heart, your hormones, and your brainwaves are in sync, you are in a coherent, high-vibration state.
And the craziest part to me is how much physical control we actually have over that coherence. Like, posture and breath are literally the remote controls for this state.
They absolutely are. It's an immediate biological override.
If you slump your shoulders and look down at the floor, you are biologically signaling defeat to your brain.
Right.
But if you sit upright, open your chest, and just do 5 seconds of rhythmic breathings, like 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out, you signal safety. You shift from the sympathetic nervous system to the parasympathetic.
And by doing that, you open up your attentional bias to notice opportunities instead of threats.
Which is so foundational. Because once you achieve that physiological coherence, that feeling of safety, you have to program the mind to stay there and actually go after what you want.
Exactly. And to do that effectively, you have to understand the sheer scale of the subconscious mind.
The numbers on this are staggering.
They really are. Consider this. Your conscious mind processes about 40 bits of information per second.
40 bits.
It's 40. It's slow, it's logical, it's deliberate. But your subconscious mind, it processes approximately 11 million bits per second.
11 million compared to 40. That's just, it's almost impossible to wrap your head around.
It is a massive processing gap.
But wait, I'm losing the thread here a bit. If I just do the breathing, fix my posture, and get my subconscious processing all this data, how does my brain know what goal I'm aiming at?
Right. How does it aim?
Yeah. Am I just becoming a very relaxed person with no money who notices a lot of random things?
That is the crucial missing link. Your brain has a filtering system called the reticular activating system, or RAS.
The RAS.
Right, because your subconscious is taking in 11 million bits of data every single second, every sight, sound, physical sensation. It would completely overwhelm you if you consciously noticed it all.
You'd probably go crazy.
You would. So the RAS acts like a bouncer at a nightclub. It only lets in information that it deems important to your survival or align with your deeply held beliefs.
Okay, that makes sense.
If you don't intentionally program the RAS, it just filters out the very opportunities you need to achieve your goals simply because it doesn't recognize them as important.
Oh, man. That makes total sense. And it completely exposes the flaw in how most people do affirmations.
It really does.
Because if I'm drowning in credit card debt, right, and I stand in front of my bathroom mirror, forcing myself to say, I am a millionaire, my brain just calls BS immediately.
Right, because it knows it's a lie.
Exactly. It's looking at my bank app like, no, we're definitely not.
And what that does is create severe cognitive dissonance.
Cognitive dissonance.
Yeah. The conscious mind is saying one thing, but the subconscious is looking at the environment, feeling the anxiety in the body, and rejecting the statement entirely.
Because the subconscious doesn't speak English.
No, it doesn't understand logic at all. It understands imagery, feeling, and repetition. It prioritizes the feeling over the words every single time. If the affirmation feels like a lie, you know what happens. It actually reinforces your anxiety. And the solution here is the use of bridge affirmations.
I love bridge affirmations. This changed the game for me. Instead of lying to yourself, you just bridge the gap. You say something like, I am learning to manage money wisely and my abundance is increasing.
Yes, because it's believable.
The subconscious goes, okay, yeah, we are learning. I can get on board with that. It immediately lowers the resistance.
It creates the safety required for the RES to start letting in new information. And then you combine that with the anatomy of an effective visualization.
Which isn't just seeing a picture in your head.
Not at all. To the subconscious, an experience is only real if it has sensory layering.
Right. It's not a silent movie. If you're visualizing a new career, you need the visual, yes, but also the auditory, like, what are your coworkers saying to you?
Exactly.
The kinesthetic, how does the new desk feel under your hands? How is your posture in that new chair? The olfactory, does the office smell like fresh coffee?
The more senses you layer, the more the brain encodes it as a real lived memory.
And you have to frame it temporally too, right?
Yes. Near-future visualization builds daily momentum, while long-term visualization grounds your overarching identity. But honestly, the glue that makes it all stick is the emotional charge.
You have to actually feel the gratitude or the pride in the present moment.
Right. You have to feel it now.
But let's get real for a second. If you're listening to this right now, maybe while commuting to a job you absolutely hate, you might be rolling your eyes.
Sure.
You might be thinking, easy for you to say, just breathe, bridge the affirmation, and visualize. Because what if someone does all that sensory layering, but they just keep hitting a brick wall?
It happens a lot.
What if you have a deep-rooted, decades-old script holding you back? Something you learned in childhood that says, if I succeed, people will leave me. Or I am not safe if I am visible.
That friction you're describing is exactly what we need to look at next, because this is where we get into some of the most cutting-edge science in Brbutovic's work.
Memory reconsolidation.
Yes, memory reconsolidation. For decades, neuroscientists believed that once a memory was formed and stored, it was fixed, like data burned onto a CD.
Just locked in forever.
Exactly. But we now know that's not true at all. When an emotional memory is recalled, it becomes labile.
Labile.
It becomes unstable, and it's open to editing for a short window of time.
It's like opening an old Word document. You don't just have to read it. If you open it, you can actually type in a new ending and hit save.
That is a brilliant way to put it.
Which is so much more powerful than just slapping a positive sticky note on the outside of your monitor and hoping the document inside magically changes.
Right. To rewrite that Word document, you have to introduce what neuroscientists call a prediction error.
A prediction error. What does that look like in practice?
It's a mismatch between what the emotional brain expects to happen based on past trauma and a new contradictory feeling of safety in the present. There's a fascinating case study in the source material about this.
Oh, Anna's story.
Yes, Anna. She had a paralyzing fear of public speaking due to a really humiliating college experience.
Right. And to use memory reconsolidation, Anna didn't just ignore the memory. She didn't try to just think positive thoughts over it. She actively recalled that feeling of humiliation. She basically opened the document.
Exactly.
But while the memory was active, she deliberately relaxed her body, slowed her breathing, and visualized delivering a presentation to a warm, supportive audience.
She held both realities at the exact same time, the old feeling of fear and the new sensory experience of safety and acceptance.
And that collision, that mismatch, tells the brain that the old prediction is no longer accurate. The neural pathway literally updates. The emotional charge dissolves.
It's basically biohacking your own past.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And this is but we have to drop a really crucial caveat here.
Absolutely.
The research makes a very firm distinction between ordinary limiting beliefs, like Anna's fear of public speaking, and actual severe trauma.
This cannot be overstated. Trauma is not just a limiting belief. It is a physiological survival response, completely frozen in the nervous system.
So you shouldn't just try this at home if it's deep trauma.
No. If you try to aggressively visualize or force a prediction error on a deeply traumatic memory on your own, you risk flooding your nervous system and re-traumatizing yourself.
That sounds dangerous.
It is. For trauma, pacing, containment, and safety are paramount. Professional help is essential here. Specifically, therapists who are trained in modalities like EMDR or somatic experiencing.
And for anyone who might not know, EMDR stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing.
Yes, and the way it works is vital to understand. EMDR uses bilateral stimulation, usually guiding your eyes side to side while you briefly focus on the trauma.
And what does that eye movement actually do?
This eye movement taxes your working memory, which makes the traumatic memory less vivid and less emotionally overwhelming. It provides the safe container required for that neurological update to happen without crashing your whole system.
It's the difference between updating the software on your phone and trying to rewire the motherboard while the power is still on. You really need a professional for the motherboard.
Exactly. But here is the biological catch to all this memory editing and subconscious programming. Neuroplasticity is incredibly calorie dense.
Calorie dense.
Rewiring your brain takes massive amounts of physical energy. If your physical body is exhausted, your brain literally doesn't have the materials to write that new code.
Oh, wow. So you can do all the mental editing you want, but if your physical hardware is crashing, the software just won't run. We have to optimize our environment and our biology.
The internal environment is non-negotiable. You cannot out-manifest a chronic lack of sleep or severe nutrient deficiencies.
Right. You can't just positive think away a bad diet.
No. The brain physically needs omega-3 fatty acids to build the myelin sheath that insulates new neural pathways. It needs magnesium to regulate the NMDA receptors, which are critical for learning and memory formation.
So it's actual physical building blocks.
Yes. It needs B vitamins to synthesize neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin. If you are chronically stressed, sleep-deprived, and running on junk food, your cortisol is high, and your brain is locked in survival mode.
And a brain in survival mode isn't going to care about your vision board.
Exactly. It will not allocate resources to learning a new, expansive identity.
You can't just high vibe your way out of needing a nap and a vegetable.
Well said.
And speaking of the environment, it's not just what you put in your body, it's what you put your body in.
The external environment.
Right. So for you listening, look at the room you're in right now. Like, really look around. Does this space reflect the identity you are trying to step into? Or is it basically a monument to the identity you were trying to leave behind?
The external environment acts as a constant subconscious feedback loop to that reticular activating system we talked about earlier.
The source talks about tactical decluttering. And it's not just about being tidy. Clutter is stagnant energy.
Yeah.
It represents unmade decisions.
It's visual noise.
Yeah. When you clear it and when you place symbolic triggers in your space, like an object that represents your goal right on your desk, you are essentially outsourcing your affirmations to your environment.
Your space starts talking to your subconscious for you, constantly feeding it those sensory details.
And we can actually maximize this programming by exploiting the brain's natural rhythms.
Yeah.
Right? Specifically, the hypnagogic window.
The hypnagogic window.
It sounds like a sci-fi portal.
Well, it essentially is a portal to your subconscious. The hypnagogic state is that brief transitional period right as you're falling asleep. Your brain waves slow down from the active beta state, past the relaxed alpha state, and dip straight into theta waves.
It's that floaty feeling where your thoughts stop making strict logical sense,
Yeah.
but you aren't quite dreaming yet, like you're just drifting.
Perfect description. In that specific window, the critical analytical filter of your conscious mind is essentially turned off, but your subconscious is wide open and highly receptive. Whatever you are focusing on in that brief window gets passed directly to the subconscious to be processed, consolidated, and rehearsed all night long.
Man. So if you fall asleep, stressing about your credit card bill or replaying some stupid argument you had at work, you are literally programming your subconscious for anxiety for the next 8 hours.
Unfortunately, yes. But there is a specific protocol to flip this.
Let's hear it.
First, write down a pre-sleep intention, just one clear positive statement. Then get in bed and do progressive muscle relaxation.
Tensing and releasing your muscles.
Right. Start with your feet, then your legs, all the way up to your head. This physically signals the nervous system that you are completely safe. And then right as you feel yourself drifting off into that hypnagogic window, you mentally plant that seed.
You just gently repeat that intention and feel it as true.
Exactly. It is the most effortless form of reprogramming because you are partnering with your biology instead of fighting it. You use the body's natural descent into sleep to carry your new blueprint directly into the deep mind.
It's so elegant. Okay, let's zoom out a bit and pull all of this together. We've covered a massive amount of ground today, from omega-3s to memory editing, but the through line is incredibly clear.
It really is.
The law of attraction is not a cosmic vending machine. It is a highly integrated behavioral and attentional system. You use your thoughts to set the direction. You use your emotions to provide the fuel and the physiological coherence.
Right.
You use belief to stabilize your trajectory. And you use physical action to deliver the impact and get feedback from the real world.
It removes all the superstition and replaces it with pure agency. I think the most powerful metaphor to summarize this is the concept of the creator's mirror.
Oh, the creator's mirror. Expand on that.
The external events of your life are not punishments, and they aren't random either. They are simply impartial feedback. They act as a mirror, showing you the exact nature of your current internal blueprint.
Okay.
If you don't like what you see in the mirror, you don't smash the glass, you change what is standing in front of it.
Think back to that sports car from the very beginning of our deep dive. You don't just sit in a room with a crystal and hope it appears in your driveway. You have to biologically engineer the version of yourself who takes the actions to earn that car.
Exactly.
But, here's a thought to leave you with. If we all possess this biological machinery to rewrite our realities through intentional expectation and environmental design, what does that mean for the structures we've built as a society?
That's a huge question.
Right. Think about our schools. Think about our modern workplaces.
Yeah.
Are they designed to foster physiological coherence, high HRV, and authentic positivity?
Usually no.
Or are they chronic stress factories, keeping us locked in survival mode, pumping out cortisol, and actively programming our subconscious for anxiety? If reality really is a mirror of our internal state, maybe the most revolutionary thing we can do isn't just to biohack our own minds for personal success. Maybe it's to start engineering environments that actually program all of us to thrive. So what does this all mean for you?
It's definitely something to think about.
It is. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Take these tools, test them in your own life, treat your reality like a laboratory, and we will see you next time.